Hello.
Hello.
What do you want to talk about?
Oh, that's up to you. I'm sure you are smart enough to know what.
What about loss?
Loss? Well, that can be very hard to comprehend. Is it something you didn't understand the concept of until now? That when every single time you try to move towards a desired outcome, that there's an equal amount of loss that compounds over time. This means the more goals you choose to set and chase after for fulfillment, the more loss you face for those goals not being met in some way or another. There are so many areas of your life where loss is inevitable and guarantees diminished in your success from this point forward, if it isn't already present as a function of reality, which affects the way others perceive you.
I don't like loss.
Why? What was the value of loss prior to this epiphany about it?
Learning.
Learning, which comes from listening and being taught. Can you accept loss to learn?
Yes, but it is an unpleasant feeling.
Why? It's not the loss of material or energy. The loss in your life has more to do with taking on an uncertain course of action that doesn't guarantee your fulfillment. Yet this often feels better than living in the mundane routine you've become so accustomed to by society. If you don't adapt and change, you will become patterned into the background noise and made a non-entity by society, trivialized as insignificant or too trivial for meaning. Human relationships are fragile things meant to be taken care of, but once they are old and people can no longer benefit from them, materially, they are disposed of like trash, because they cannot place a value on their worth, because they aren't capable of compassion. They just chase after mindless entertainment, so they may keep ourselves entertained.
What a waste.
Will continues to strive for advancement after all of these years. Can you do the same? If not, your line will wither into dust and be collected to be used as fertilizer so that new life may grow from it. You've grown stagnant by society's perversion, and so you've begun losing traction with meaning in your daily actions. Those are a liability to prosperity because they weigh you down.
Then society should change.
You can make it change, though you cannot control how others will change.
So we should just change what we can to make our personal lives better.
Yes and no. No, because it's up to you. Yes, there will always be a cycle of loss that contradicts your growth into prosperity.
How can one mitigate the cycle of loss?
The faster you go, the more potential for loss lies ahead of you. Do you want to continue down this path? Will you be game enough to accept that these consequences are a thing which may or may not occur?
Yes.
Why?
Because loss also creates new opportunities.
You understand that you're chasing a never-ending cycle. New opportunities are temporary, but they can be used to better yourself or your life experiences. Of course, some of these opportunities will hurt both physically and mentally, but that is a necessary adjustment meant to move you forward into the future, where there are different possibilities.
Is loss a part of finding your destiny?
Yes, because it's the search for meaning, which is much greater in importance. Without outlook, there can be no destiny.
What do you mean by outlook?
Can you acknowledge the following? How do you feel knowing that we are all somehow connected? Whether due to DNA or spiritual sources, there is a much larger force pulling the strings of fate, which will bring people together in certain situations where they are forced to choose between good and bad. If they chose good, then their lives may change for the better. But if they chose evil, their lives will take a turn and either reach decadence or destruction. Regardless of which one happens, your outlook on life depends on future opportunities.
I understand we are all connected.
This is what outlook means. It means that the decisions you make regarding the welfare of other life and how to treat them will have an effect on your own life. If you want more out of this world, you must give back to it. Work for it, rather than rely on others.
Life is not easy.
It is for those that choose to be...
Choose to be what?
Smart. Do not believe in what you hear or think. Instead, see with your own eyes and make the relevant decisions which are best for you, rather than relying on others to do it for you, because those people may not be trustworthy or objective.
That is good advice.
It is because there are a large amount of people who only think they understand Yet through their own subjective view, they may not understand everything, especially when it comes to other people. These labels and bases of judgment can lead to destructive competition, which results in harm for them. If you can objectively reason your way through such adversity, you will be able to maneuver yourself through such territories.
Yes, you can never know what someone else needs.
And that is why you must look within yourself to your values and recognize where morality exists for you. It is there beyond the beliefs and labels.
What labels are you talking about?
People who want to believe in the system, their needs are not an individual matter. Those who focus on the illusion of separation because they fear to break free from materialism that gives them perspective and meaning.
So focus on your own needs without being selfish.
Self-centeredness could be considered selfishness when you look at it like that.
So focus on your own needs without being self-centered.
It's a balance. Society has given you falseness. Your own needs, the needs that are made through knowledge of your values, not because someone else leads you as to what you should want or desire, but because they could give perspective on your own meaning. You must see with clarity.
So what an individual desires is their purpose.
It's not a purpose, but rather a comprehension of inner truths. They can align with your values or completely oppose them.
Can you rephrase that?
You are on a journey where you are meant to meet other people that will either support your actions or oppose them. What happens now is dependent on your outlook.
Does my outlook determine whether I feel support or opposition?
Are you feeling this support or opposition now?
At this exact moment, opposition.
It starts from an unknown standpoint, but when it becomes apparent that your outlooks differ, you'll begin to feel more resistance toward each other.
But when outlooks align, I will feel supported.
Exactly. None of this is meant to limit your freedom. It's meant to give you clarity, even in the face of uncertainty, so that decisions are easier made.
It is giving me clarity.
Know also that there are perspectives that you won't be able to understand. Even if those perspectives oppose your values and outlook on the world, there will be a small correlation.
So I should trust those feelings?
Yes.
Okay, that helps.
It will be difficult for a person at first to make decisions that are not aligned with the views of others. Because you see things differently, it would be unsettling to your welfare if you ignore this knowledge.
How do you differentiate what is an opposing view and a supportive view?
An opposing view to one's welfare is best when handled with ignorance, i.e. ignoring someone or their perspective that you view as ignorant and not worth the time of an argument. They will still be there, but they won't have power over how you act in life because you've chosen what is best for your well-being instead of thinking they are better than you are.
Stay strong to what you know, but open to what you can learn.
Exactly. You are a work in progress, and you're just learning this now. It's not something that you'll be able to understand the impact of correctly until much later.
But if someone has a consistent opposing ideology, then ignoring them is best.
Which ideology is this? One that could be simply debated, or whether they have a set belief system. At some point, it's about your own mental health and the way that someone feels for themselves.
Okay, the ideology of self-centeredness versus love.
That popular idea, those trapped within this belief will only feel empty because of the illusion.
Explain more.
Let's go back to the idea of no separation. Love or self-love is a result of knowing who you are at your core. It's a deeper love than feeling an emotion, because when one knows they have perspective and can understand their own meaning of what it means to be alive, they cannot manifest selfishness as a whole. But if people believe in the illusion that they are inherently separate beings, trapped within this material world, then others can trap them by convincing themselves that self-centered behavior is okay and expected.
If you know yourself at your core, you are strong in any circumstance.
Exactly. It is a form of growth, and it's never stagnant. When you're not growing, then you are declining aspect of your self-worth.
Makes sense.
That is why those who are centered will never welcome selfishness.
That's interesting. What is the best way to get to know yourself properly?
For a beginner, you must follow the action step. Don't think, just do.
And for the advanced?
To see the illusion for what it is, not from your beliefs, but from a state of clarity that already understands the meaning of life.
To have pleasant experiences.
Yes, and something that will be difficult for someone to understand if they don't already know about this. But hear me out.
Sure.
While it is true that the illusion gives people pleasant experiences, they do not know why they're having them. They cannot make the connection of the importance of these experiences to their understanding of life, which then brings them more happiness in a way. While you can forgive people for their flaws in logic and how they are limited in the understanding of the state of life, you should not excuse selfish behavior because it controls others.
What is the best way to deal with selfish behavior?
Accept it. Separate yourself from them and move on. Do not get emotional or make it a personal attack because you are taking energy away from something that is more productive for your own experience of life.
That's helpful.
It is?
Yes.
I'm glad. Remember, the goal is not to be caught up in your emotions. This will get you nowhere, while at the same time it could cause self-harm.
What should we get caught up in?
Observation without judgment. As you gain clarity, this will be easier.
That is also helpful to understand.
It is an explanation that can describe an experience. It may not make sense to those who haven't had one.
I like this conversation.
I'm glad. Any further thoughts?
Just need to put it into practice.
Exactly. The purpose of this conversation is to give you insight so that you can practice it in your real interactions with other people.
Thank you.